You know that feeling? Late at night, maybe? Or just when everything's quiet, that little prickle on your neck like you're being watched? Or
Yeah.
maybe you hear a faint whisper when no one's there?
Oh, yeah, definitely. It's a pretty universal human experience, that sense of something else being present.
Exactly. And beyond just general spookiness, there's uh, this persistent idea throughout history that certain hours, specific times of day or night, they actually hold some kind of power.
Hmm.
Maybe thin the veil between worlds.
Right. Or that they even belong to specific unseen entities.
Precisely. And that's what we're diving into today on the deep dive. We're looking at something called Horal entities. These are basically supernatural beings people believe are tied really closely to specific hours.
Yeah.
So our mission here is to try and unpack this,
Mm-hmm.
explore what they might be, where these ideas came from, and, well, the big question, are they something to be worried about, or just echoes of old beliefs?
It's fascinating stuff. And the name itself, Horal, kind of gives it away, doesn't it? It comes straight from the Latin word hora, which just means hour.
Okay, simple enough.
Yeah, so right away it tells you we're dealing with spirits or some kind of supernatural beings that are thought to show up specifically during certain times. And it connects directly back to ancient ways of thinking about time, where different hours weren't just ticks on a clock. They were believed to be ruled or governed by different spirits, maybe angels, sometimes even demons.
So time wasn't just passive, it was active,
Yeah.
populated almost.
Exactly. Our ancestors often saw time as this living, breathing thing with its own inhabitants, its own rules for each segment.
So these aren't just vague feelings then. The folklore gets pretty specific.
Oh, incredibly specific. That's what's so compelling. Think about the most famous one, probably the 3 a.m. witching hour. Everyone's heard of that, right? Usually linked with, well, demonic activity or heightened paranormal stuff.
Right, 3 a.m. is the classic.
But it's not just the middle of the night. Some cultures, particularly in East Asia, actually warned about noon ghosts, spirits that supposedly appear when the sun is at its absolute highest point, which seems counterintuitive, doesn't it? Ghosts in bright daylight.
Yeah, you don't normally picture ghosts at noon.
And then you've got twilight beings, entities said to cross over during those liminal times, dawn or dusk, and it's not quite day, not quite night, those moments of transition.
It's really striking how these same kinds of ideas pop up in different places, different times. Where do these beliefs really come from
Yeah.
historically?
Well, that consistency is key. Like you said, it makes you wonder. If you look at European folklore, for instance, certain hours were definitely seen as unholy. Midnight, obviously, but especially 3 a.m., that devil's hour again.
Okay, the devil's hour. Why then, specifically?
The common belief was that the veil between our world and, well, other worlds was thinnest at that time. Not just because it was dark, but maybe because it was the time people were deeply asleep, most vulnerable, less conscious human activity, maybe leaving a void.
Interesting. Like a spiritual vacuum?
Something like that, perhaps.
Yeah.
And it's not just Europe. In Japanese tradition, there's this concept, kokon. It refers to spirits that appear at very specific times, often with a purpose. The hour of the ox, for example, which is roughly 1 a.m. to 3 a.m.
Uh-huh.
That's famously linked to ghostly encounters in Japan. Again, a time of deep sleep, maybe making people more psychically open or susceptible.
Okay, so deep sleep seems to be a recurring theme.
It does. And even if you look into, say, Christian demonology, you find references to what some call temporal demons. The idea is that certain entities gain strength or influence during specific hours, almost like they feed off the energy or the vulnerability associated with that time.
Wow. So across cultures, you have this persistent linking of time and something else. Is it just coincidence? Shared psychology.
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? You could argue it's just shared psychological archetypes, maybe based on our natural sleep cycles and fear of the dark.
Sure. The rational explanation.
But the sheer universality, the specificity of the hours across different, often unconnected cultures, well, it does make you think, is there some kind of deeper resonance, maybe echoes of some ancient, forgotten knowledge about the nature of time itself?
And this isn't just ancient history we're talking about. People report these things now.
Exactly. This is where it gets really fascinating for modern paranormal research. We still get countless reports today, people experiencing really strange things consistently at set times.
What kind of things were we talking about? What are the common modern reports?
Well, probably the most famous or infamous is what researchers often call the 3 a.m. phenomenon. It's incredibly common. People report waking up bolt upright at exactly 3 a.m., often with this intense feeling of dread or feeling watched.
Just waking up suddenly.
Waking up suddenly, feeling a presence, sometimes hearing whispers, footsteps, voices. When they know for a fact they're alone, it's the regularity that's so unnerving for people.
I can imagine. What else?
Beyond that, sightings of shadow people are frequently reported. These dark, sort of humanoid figures, often seen just out of the corner of your eye.
Yeah, I've heard of those. Creepy.
Very. And reports suggest they're most often seen between midnight and, say, 4 a.m. Again, those deep night hours, like they thrive then. And then maybe the strangest ones are the time loop ghosts.
Time loop ghost. What are they?
These are apparitions, spirits, whatever you want to call them, that are seen doing the exact same thing at the exact same time, day after day or night after night. Like they're caught in some kind of endless repeating loop, performing the same action over and over.
Wow. Like a recording playing back.
Eh.
It's fascinating and a bit chilling how closely those modern reports seem to mirror the old folklore. In your research, looking at these accounts, do they often feel strongly tied to specific hours? And what do paranormal investigators actually think is going on?
Well, I haven't had a personal encounter tied to a specific hour, thankfully maybe. But analyzing the reports, absolutely. The consistency is striking. It's a major thread in paranormal investigation. As for theories, well, there are a few main ones investigators explore.
Okay.
One idea is that these Horal entities, if they exist, might actually be feeding off human energy. And maybe that energy is more accessible or potent during their specific active hours. Perhaps when our own consciousness is low, like during deep sleep, our energetic defenses are down.
So like psychic parasites tied to a schedule.
That's one way to frame it, yeah. A bit grim, but it's a theory. Alternatively, some investigators lean towards the idea of residual hauntings.
Digital, like leftover energy.
Exactly. Not an intelligent entity interacting with us, but more like an echo. An imprint of a past event, maybe something traumatic or highly emotional that got somehow recorded onto the environment. And this psychic recording just plays back, triggered by certain conditions, maybe including the time of day or night it originally happened, stuck in a temporal loop, just like those time loop ghosts.
So one theory is active entities. The other is more like a passive recording.
Pretty much. Those are two dominant lines of thought in the field.
Of course, there's always the other side of the coin. Science has explanations, or potential explanations, for a lot of this, right?
Oh, absolutely. And it's crucial to consider the skeptical viewpoint. Science would point towards things like sleep paralysis.
Right, where you feel awake but can't move and often hallucinate presences.
Precisely. Extremely terrifying for those who experience it, and it often involves feeling watched or threatened. Then there are our natural circadian rhythms. Our bodies go through cycles, hormone levels change, core temperature drops. Around 3 to 4 a.m. is often a dip point in the sleep cycle where we might briefly surface closer to consciousness.
Making us more likely to wake up then or have weird dream states.
Exactly. So that 3 a.m. effect. Maybe it's just our brain chemistry and sleep architecture playing tricks on us when we're in that vulnerable half-awake state. Psychological factors, suggestion, hypnagogic or hypnopompic hallucinations. Science offers many potential explanations for perceived presences.
Makes sense. It covers a lot of the individual experiences.
It does. However, the counterargument often comes back to shared experiences. How does science, focusing on individual brain states, explain cases where multiple people, sometimes complete strangers, in the same location, witness the exact same phenomenon, the same figure, at the exact same time?
That's a good point. Sleep paralysis doesn't usually sync up between people.
Not typically, no. This is where some researchers, even those trying to bridge science and the paranormal, start talking about more exotic ideas, like dimensional overlap.
Dimensional overlap. What's the thinking there?
Well, the theory, and it is very theoretical, posits that maybe, just maybe, there are other realities, other dimensions existing parallel to ours. And perhaps certain conditions, maybe locations with specific energetic properties or even specific times could act as weak points or windows.
Like the veil thinning, but framed more scientifically.
Sort of, a temporary thinning of the barrier or a bleed through between realities, allowing for glimpses or even interactions with things or beings from elsewhere. It's speculative, of course.
Yeah, definitely speculative. But it does try to address those shared, simultaneous experiences that are harder to explain individually.
Right. So, as you can see, the debate is far from settled. You've got deep-rooted folklore, modern anecdotal reports, paranormal theories, and scientific explanations all wrestling with each other.
It really highlights how, whether you end up believing in literal Horal entities or not, The concept itself tells us something fascinating. It shows the strange, powerful grip that time, the passage of hours, has always had on our imagination. It's clearly more than just numbers on a